Hey guys, my name is Attorney Walter, if not the third. I'm with Disability Resolution PA. Let's go right into the article. This article is from Fortune. Specifically, what are the odds of Americans getting a fourth stimulus check? I thought we'd add a little bit of reality to this thing as to like what other companies out there are saying, what other groups are saying, because Bernie Sanders coming out with a, tweeting, I agree, we need to have more stimulus. I think that's, a lot of the channels are just taking that, running with it, and being like, oh, it's coming tomorrow, it's in the mail, Biden got it this time, everything's super good. Power Rangers behind me forming into mega whatever, and poof, it turns into the fourth stimulus. I think you guys need to understand that there is a potential where there might not be one. There is. I personally believe there will be one. It's not going to be the same shape as it was before, but let's go into it. What are the odds of Americans getting a fourth stimulus check? By Chris Morris, June 4th, 2021, 11:17 a.m. Our mission to make business better is fueled by readers like you, blah, blah, blah. While many people still haven't received their third round $1,400, maybe that's because there's a lot of people who are on your list that are already passed away. Stimulus checks, the push is already on in some corners for a fourth round. I hope this article isn't going to be about how people didn't use the money from the third stimulus. I really hope it's not going to be about that, because that would be the dumbest argument you could potentially make ever. Because you know how much fraud, you know how much ridiculousness is out there. You know that there's a lot of companies that have taken out a loan but aren't using the funds yet or about to push it to take the loan. You know that there's a lot of that going on. Let's see what this article, maybe it's not that. It could not. I haven't read it yet. More than 2.3 million people have signed a Change.org petition calling for recurring 2,000 payments to adults and 1,000 payments for children. It's never going to happen, but it would be nice. And at the end of March, 21 Senate Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, sent a letter to President Joe Biden supporting the idea of recurring payments and automatic unemployment insurance and extensions. Pretty much a useless letter for all of you guys sitting out there going, I'm going to send a letter to my representative, my senator, my House rep. What they need is a bill. And I know that you guys don't know how to write a bill, and I'm making videos on how to make a bill that you can go ahead and present to them. I'm teaching you literally legal practices of how to do this stuff in those videos. They don't need letters like that. What they need is the bill. They need the bill. Believe it or not, a lot of these senators, a lot of these House reps, many of them are attorneys, some of them are not. But a lot of these attorneys out there, they're not good at writing bills. They're not. And a lot of people don't realize this as well. They're not good at promoting bills. They're not. I know, it's surprising, right? You would think like that's their only job. Write bills, promote bills, get bills passed. But a lot of them aren't good at that. Because if that were the deal, like if I were doing a political job, which I would never want to do, my thing would be like every month I'd be coming out with a new bill. Every month I'd be coming out with a new bill. Here's how we fix this. Here's how we fix this. Here's how we fix this. Here's how we do this. And then I would have like a YouTube channel and like a TV thing or blah, 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 where I brought people on and I had them try to beat me and be like, this is a terrible idea. And I'd bring on Republicans, Democrats, in the middles, extremists. I'd bring them all on. And I'd let them just attack me and I'd have to defend it. That is what I feel like a politician should be. Yeah, that's what they should be. But, you know how this world works. Everybody gets money except for the people who need it. Sent a letter to President Joe Biden supporting the idea of recurring payments and automatic unemployment insurance extensions. Well, that's great. That's great. That's awesome. I feel really good about that. 21 Democratic senators sent a letter saying, we want the people to have more. That's really useful. Why don't you supply him with the bill language that he can use to put into law? How about that? An Urban Institute study suggests that a single direct payment of $1,200 combined with an extension of enhanced unemployment insurance and other assistance could keep 12 million people out of poverty. Adding a second direct payment could keep an additional 6.3 million people above the poverty line, the group wrote. Please remember, I'm on vacation. There's no backdrop. The lighting isn't right. Shadow's apparently coming back into the room because he's causing a little bit of shit. Bubba, what happened? What happened? They said that you were causing distress among the other snuggle monkeys? Let's read that again. My apologies. Shadow's my baby. So is Sweetie. Although she's my piggy baby. An Urban Institute study suggests that a single direct payment of $1,200 combined with an extension of enhanced unemployment insurance and other assistance could keep 12 million people out of poverty. Yeah, that makes sense. Because guess what? Even though people are going back to work, it doesn't mean that everybody's whole again. You know, like the legal, like, entire system of legal, you know, like law is based upon making people whole again when an injury occurs to them, you know, like personal injury, like something fall, how do we make them whole again? They get hit by a car, how do we make them whole again? You know, like all these things, you know, like how do we make them whole again? I'm okay, Shadow. I'm actually fine. So you know how like our entire legal system is based upon this, like how do we make them whole again? Not just like, you know, here's a couple of payments, man, get your stuff together, you figure out the rest. You know how our legal system is all about making that person whole again? That's what that's about. Universal basic income is making people whole again. It's getting them payments to the point where they can get back on their feet to get the jobs they had before. Not go from, not that there's anything wrong with working for a fast food place, not go from, hey, you know, $70,000 job to a, hey, $25,000 job. Despite the calls, I'm actually getting a headache right now. Despite the calls, though, the Biden administration doesn't seem to be behind the idea of a fourth check. Yeah, it seems like that. It does. On Thursday, White House Press Secretary Jen downplayed the likelihood of another round of stimulus payments. He's happy to hear from a range of ideas on what would be most effective and what's most important to the economy moving forward. But he's also proposed what he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term for putting people back to work, to getting through this pivotal period of time, and also to making us more competitive in the long term. Okay, let's just break this down real quick. Let's give Jen the benefit of the doubt here. But he's also proposed what he thinks is going to be the most effective for the short term, 6 months or less, for putting people back to work, to getting through this pivotal period of time, and also to making us more competitive in the long term. So how do you put people back to work? Well, you could make incentives to get benefits and also go work. More money. People are going to want to do that. Why don't we do that? Oh, well, hey. Next one. To getting through this pivotal period of time. I don't know, like, you know, funding their lack of food might be helpful for that, you know. And also to making us more competitive in the long term. Having the people be made whole so that they can return to the way they were gets us back to being competitive in the long term. Actually, putting people in a better situation than they were before puts them even more in the situation where they're likely to be more competitive, you know, going to school, getting a higher education, coming out with new businesses, creating new products. Hey, remember that idea we had when we were kids? We're going to invent this thing and nobody invented it. So it's now we have this extra cash. What do you want to do with it? Well, we could do fentanyl, or we could go ahead and do a business. That's an over-dramatization. But the bottom line is, like, come on, Biden. President Biden, you are... We're going to save the soul of the nation. Well, why don't you make the soul of the nation whole, like you said you were trying to do while saving it, and use the money that the federal government has to get everybody whole again. When somebody loses their hand in a car accident, we pay them a lot of money to make them whole again. While the economy is improving, 5.8% of the country was still without work in May. According to the Labor Department, that was better than April's 6.1%, but new jobs fell short of expectations. Companies created 559,000 new jobs last month, but analysts were expecting 671,000. Well, then why don't you mass fund companies to do better, to hire more people? Because, you know, we don't just make the people whole, we make the companies whole. If we make the companies whole, they make the people whole by paying them in a long-term sense. But, hey, I don't run this country. While the Biden administration for now appears focused on passing an infrastructure spending package, which should include, and I'm adding this part myself, more payments to the people, residents in some states could still see additional funds. Now we're going to go to California. California Governor Gavin Newsom, for example, has proposed $600 payments to families that make up to $75,000. An expansion of California's Golden State Stimulus Program, which has already sent out $600 payments, and the March economic stimulus package includes $350 billion in aid for state and local governments that can be used to make direct payments to their citizens. The Treasury Department last month released a set of rules for spending the money. So why is the federal government backing California's new extended? Then why aren't other states? Oh, because if we pay people too much, they won't go back to work. There are some people like that. But then there's a lot of other people who will use those funds to further themselves to create more jobs. But hey, we're more worried about the people that are going to go ahead and not do anything than the people who are going to go ahead and create the future of our nation. Brilliant, guys. We're on top of this. Biden's American Families Plan, if passed, could also provide some relief. That plan would extend the $250 monthly tax credit through 2028, which that's already happening. We're just funding families to take care of kids, which is not a bad thing. Although the counter argument is you can't fund them too much because the kids are likely to just rely on that as opposed to getting a job. Well, then you get into doesn't the kid want to succeed in life and do great things and be able to afford things that they couldn't afford before? And then you get into that whole yada yada. Isn't it weird that it would just be easier to do the right thing in politics? And I understand politicians receive money from questionable parties, questionable companies, questionable entities. Maybe in the U.S., maybe not, right? But wouldn't it be easier if we just made a plan to fix this that benefited the American people? The people who paid all the taxes that put the money there to begin with? The American people? Anyways, guys, I have to go ahead and do a couple more of these, and I'm running out of power on the iPad, so I gotta go ahead and charge it up. I will catch you a little bit later. Please remember, if you like this channel, leave a comment, like it, subscribe to it. If you could, please leave 5-star reviews. As they go ahead and basically help me compete against other big box law firms. Have an absolutely wonderful day. I'll catch you a little bit later, and we'll go from there. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.